I think it's important to state up front that the purpose of my review is not to examine police tactics or procedures. The purpose of my review is solely to determine whether or not a crime was committed by the police officers when they discharged their firearm on September 5th. It was Mr. Perry who chose to change the circumstances that night when he opened fire on the police. The SWAT officers' uniforms and tactical gear were clearly marked police. They identified themselves as law enforcement by yelling, "Police, show me your hands," repeatedly as they approached Perry. Perry still chose to open fire rather than surrender. Now, I know that you hear that 4 rounds are fired by Mr. Perry and 30 rounds are returned by the police officers. I do not find the 30 rounds to be excessive in any way. And let me explain why. Number one, you have 4 officers who are shooting. Number 2, the United States Supreme Court has specifically told us if police officers are justified in firing at a suspect in order to end a severe threat to public safety, the officers need not stop firing until the threat has ended. The officers started shooting once Perry shot at them. They stopped shooting once Perry lowered his weapon. Based on the substantial evidence in this case and the law of this matter, I've come to the conclusion that the 4 Virginia Beach police officers involved in the shooting that night on September 5th did not violate the law and will not be prosecuted for any criminal offenses related to the death of Angelo Perry. India Kager is a different situation than Angelo Perry's. When it comes to the death of Miss Kager, all of the officers were aiming their fire at Mr. Perry. None of the officers targeted Miss Kager. In fact, what is perfectly clear after reviewing all of the evidence is that it was Perry that placed Miss Kager and their child in danger. Rather than surrendering to the clearly marked police officers who were yelling, "Police, show me your hands," he chose to draw a firearm and shoot at the officers, knowing that Miss Kager was sitting next to him and knowing that their child was in the back seat of the vehicle. In addition to that, it was Mr. Perry who turned his body and positioned it in such a manner that he placed Miss Kager directly in the officer's line of fire. It was these decisions by Mr. Perry and not the actions of the officers that resulted in Miss Kager's death. As a result, again, due to the substantial evidence collected in this matter and my review of the law, I find that the officers did not violate the law, were legally justified in their actions on that evening, and there will be no criminal charges against any of the 4 police officers regarding the death of India Kager.